So we're going to go over everything that you need to know about taming up your Armadoggo and then also using it as well, because this is the most feature-dense creature in the whole game, and I'm not even exaggerating. This thing can also not even die if you have it in companion mode, which we'll go over as well. But first of all, where do you find these guys? Well, they pretty much only really spawn inside of the Extinction City. You can sometimes find them on the outskirts, but that's probably because they've wandered out of it. But yeah, I've actually got a 150 right down here that we're going to go ahead and tame. So there it is. When you get kind of close to an Armadoggo, it might bark a little bit, but it's not going to attack you unless you attack it. And what you need to do is basically drop out some food for it. So anything from like raw meat to raw prime or even mutton up to kibble, which is going to actually be its favorite one, the regular kibble. And yeah, you just need to kind of drop that down onto the ground. And as you can see, it's going to go ahead and just start sniffing around to try and find its way to the food. And once it gets close enough to it, you're going to be able to pet it. But obviously it's walking in the exact opposite direction, so I'm not really... Turn around. There you go, buddy. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Okay, so we just need to wait for it to come right up to the food. So when it gets close enough, it will stop by the food and it will continue to sniff. And basically at this point, you need to kind of just stand beside it and wait for it to start eating. And at which point you need to pet it and it will basically get a little bit of taming effectiveness, or it might even get fully tamed depending on what you're actually feeding it. There we go. Nice. So now we have our Armadoggo all tamed up. There's one thing that you should do when you get your very first one. Immediately put it into companion mode, which is going to actually give you this dog whistle inside of your inventory, which is an item that's just going to be binded to you just like your implant. As long as you have an Armadoggo in companion mode, you'll always have this thing, and you can put it onto your hotbar as well. And yeah, let's go ahead and check this dude out. Let's just get him over here. So before we get into all the different saddles and everything, let's go over some of its other little abilities and everything. So first of all, if we come into here, we can access this wheel right here, which you can also access through using the dog whistle, but we're just going to use the E menu right here. So there's a couple things you can do. You can basically change its following distance, so you can kind of have it like follow you really kind of like in a massive circle, or stay a little bit closer, or stay very close to you. You can kind of choose what way you want your dog to follow you. Then you can also go ahead and make it sit, which is adorable. And then we can go ahead and check out some of the emotes here as well. So it's got a ton of different emotes here. We've got bow, which is really cute. It just really wants to play. Then we have dig, which is actually a functional emote, and I'll go over this one in just 1 minute. We've got beg, which I have to say isn't really much of a beg. I don't know. I get my dog to actually like sit, and then he puts his paws up, and it's really cute. But yeah, well, one of my dogs, Kirby, does it. None of the other dogs do it, though. You can go ahead and pet it, which is amazing. Then we've also got the roll over, but there's no belly rub option here, which is very unfortunate. And I love those emotes as well, like the kind of idle animations and everything. It just sneezes randomly. It's great. And then we've got bark, which is a little bit terrifying, honestly. Yeah, so you don't want to mess with these dogs. But yeah, that's all the emotes. Now, like what I was saying here a second ago, the dig one is actually a functional one. So what you can do here is you can basically set it so you can essentially get one of these different emotes or different functions onto your whistle. So basically, whenever I would go ahead and use the whistle, we can get it to dig. So let's go ahead and hit that, and boom, it's digging. Now, it can actually find things when it's digging. And I think it's actually found a couple things. Yeah, there we go. It found a rib cage. Here's one thing you can actually do. If you have that bound, you can just constantly spam that, which looks really demented. But we should have a ton of different kind of body parts inside of it now. Yeah, look at all that. It's just like so many different things in here. Oh my god, we've even got a freaking skull. So you can use these for decoration in the game now, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, that's one way of getting a ton of different body parts. If we go ahead and actually drop all this stuff, I'll show you something that's pretty cool. You can actually go ahead and get your Armadoggo to go ahead and fetch items on the ground, and just like that, he'll bring them right up to you and maybe even sneeze in your face. Wait, where are you going, buddy? Stay right by me. We need to change his fall distance to closest. There we go. Nice. So he's got more options here. We've got Play Dead, which should actually de-aggro creatures to him, and he doesn't stay like this forever, but it's really cute. That's amazing. Look at him. Oh, man. Yeah, he'll get up eventually, but I think that's actually going to stop creatures from attacking him. So then we've also got Who's There, which is going to turn him into a bit of a guard dog, and it's going to get, like, very vicious. And he's going to be growling here in just 1 second. Yeah, just like that. It sounds like a really long burp or something. So next up we have Here Pup, which is gonna basically get it to come to you if you don't have it with you. So it's right over there for me. And if we go ahead and use that, it should dig into the ground where it is and dive right in. And then it should pop up around me here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Nice. So it's basically just gonna kind of bring it to you. And that's if you don't have it on follow or if you have it like sitting somewhere. But remember, when it is in companion mode, it will basically be able to follow you anywhere around the whole map. It doesn't really matter at all, but if you specifically leave it somewhere, you can use that to get it to come to you. Or I guess if you can't even find it, if it is around you or something. But then we also have Free Me, which I can't really show, but it's basically going to go ahead and remove handcuffs from the player, freeing you from any sort of captivity. But I don't really get into any of that kinky stuff here on my single player. I wait for the servers for that. So along with all those features, we also have the armor and all the different attachments, and you can unlock all of this at level 21 on Bob's Tall Tales. You need to have the armor on to have these attachments on, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, so all these things are available here, and some of them are like, I feel like they should be higher tier, because this one right here is essentially an oxygen tank, and you can unlock it at level 21. That's kind of insane. Yeah, so some of these ones are absolutely amazing. But yeah, let's go ahead and just check this out. So first of all, let's pop on the armor, and there it is. It looks so cool. It really does. Yeah, so it's even got like a little Federation dog tag as well, which is awesome. But yeah, so once we have that on, he's gonna have just a little bit of extra armor. It does say that it's lost some durability, but I'm not sure if that's that weird saddle bug that we've been having. It's kind of hard for me to tell that right now, but I think using these ones actually does decrease the durability on these guys, but I don't think the actual armor itself is supposed to lose durability. But yeah, let's go through some of these things. So first of all, let's check out the ammo box, which is essentially going to allow me to keep all my ammo on my Armadoggo and basically kind of just access it remotely. Kind of similar to the ammo box that's available from Genesis Part 2. As you can see right there, I still have access to all my ammo, and I'm able to reload and everything, even though I don't have anything on me. It's all inside of him. So yeah, basically by using that, you can just access all this stuff remotely, and it's gonna be pretty good to like save a little bit of weight if you're like running through a cave or something like that. You could keep all your ammo on him. So here's something very important to note. Some of these attachments actually have passive abilities, like that ammo box one where it just kind of gives it to us, and then some of them have activatable abilities like this meat pack. And then the function of this one is that it's going to actually draw all aggro to the Armadoggo and away from the player or whatever else you have around you. So it doesn't matter, everything's going to go for this guy right here. And that may seem like a bit of a death wish for him, but remember, they cannot die. If they were to take lethal damage, they'll just go into the ground and then they'll come back to you after a long timer of them regenning. But yeah, so you can basically use this to get creatures into a trap, or maybe just to get kind of creatures away from you or something like that. But yeah, so that is how that one works, and you can actually activate it using the whistle remotely. So if I put him inside of a trap and then activated this, and we had a Therizino walking by, the Theri will go for him, and then we could lock him, we could lock the Therizino inside of the trap, and yeah, I don't know, very, very useful, but obviously it's going to be a little bit harder for me to show that one off right now. Next one is the Battle Spikes, which is another kind of passive ability. As you can see, if you hold down, you can see which ones are passive and activatable ones. So this is essentially going to go ahead and add some recoil damage to anything that's attacking it, but it's also going to slightly increase the amount of damage that he can actually do. And whenever I look at his head, I don't know why, he just kind of looks like Loki with those freaking horns. It looks amazing. But yeah, so this is quite a useful one, to be honest. I actually definitely think that this one could be quite amazing to just use all the time. But yeah, next up we have the extra armor one, which is essentially going to go ahead and just add in extra armor. It's going to give him more resistance to damage. And yeah, this is obviously another passive ability. Then we have the Chibi Carrier, and this is so silly. It's like an actual little baby Yoda carrier right there. And you can actually put your chibis inside of him. So yeah, you can see I've just put a little Pteranodon chibi inside of there, and you can actually use this to level up those chibis, and then also have one on your character as well. And it's pretty interesting, because if you take it off, it actually seems to kind of stay inside of there, even though it looked like it flew away there for a second. It kind of like binds to the actual carrier, so you don't need to have that on all the time, but you can just pop it on occasionally and have your chibi already sitting in there. Next up, we've got the Spy Kit, which is going to turn your dog into a little spy dog, and it looks amazing. So this is another activatable one, and using this, it's going to basically turn your spyglass into a from a distance magnifying glass, so we can actually look and see the torpidity on creatures and their health as well from a distance, and it also works with the gene scanner as well. But yeah, so that's pretty good. I like that a lot. I don't know if it gives any extra abilities to the binoculars. Probably not, because that thing already has all the abilities, but this is definitely one that I could see myself using quite a lot for taming. Next up, we have the oxygen tank, which is going to actually allow your Armadoggo to breathe underwater and probably in space as well, but it's also going to give you some oxygen as well. It's going to basically decrease your oxygen drain by a huge amount, so you can actually swim with your doggo. And this, I think visually, this is probably one of the best ones. It looks so silly, but I love it at the same time. Oh my god. It looks so stupid. It looks like what's that dog from Guardians of the Galaxy? I can't even remember. Cosmo, maybe? I think something like that. Next up, we have the medkit one, and this is essentially going to go ahead and automatically heal you if you get really, really hurt. So you can see right there, I just damaged myself by 400, and it's healed me up by over 100 right there, really, really fast. So you can also activate this one as well if it's not activating by itself, but it will automatically do it if you were to take a ton of damage all at once like that. And I definitely think this is another really, really useful one. Definitely for caving for sure. Maybe even just for like some risky maneuvers as well. Next up, we have the picnic set, which is essentially going to go ahead and feed you and water you remotely. And also it's going to increase your hypo and hyperthermic insulations. And yeah, essentially what you can do is you can just keep all your food and your water on your Armadoggo. And whenever you're hungry or thirsty, he's just going to go ahead and automatically feed you or give you water, which sounds so silly, but I feel like I might benefit from this one the most. And I got a lot of people telling me that right after this thing was announced. And I definitely have to agree with you. I think that I'll definitely end up using this one quite a lot. Just a bit of a correction, it's actually only hyperthermic insulation for the picnic basket, and that is protection against heat, I do believe. Next up, we have the rucksack, and for this, let's just take a little look at the weight. So it's 340. If we pop this one on, it's going to go all the way up to 425, and this is going to essentially allow your Armadoggo to have extra weight, but on top of that, it's going to keep all of its inventory if it was to take lethal damage and go into its timeout mode. So yeah, normally, if it was to technically die, somebody would be able to loot it and take all of its stuff. But having this one on means that it keeps all that stuff on it. But that also means that whatever's on it is going to be missing for like an hour, I guess. So bear that in mind before you put something really, really useful on him that you might need all the time. So next up, we have the camping gear, which is going to increase your hypothermic insulation, which is protection against the cold. And once you have this one on, you're going to actually be able to spawn on your Armadoggo if you were to die. So if I was to die right now, I could just spawn directly on top of him, and I wouldn't have to go back to base or run back over to the area or something like that. So yeah, it's also working with teammates as well, but I can't show you that right now. But I can actually get some of my tribe mates to spawn on me, on my Armadoggo essentially. And if they were to have an Armadoggo with also having the sleeping bag as well, they would essentially be able to go ahead and spawn somebody else, and we could get like an infinite supply of people in to an area, and all you'd need to do is get your Armadoggo there. So yeah, this is a very, very useful one, I have to say. And then last but definitely not least, we have the speed bonus, which is really, really cool looking, first of all. But yeah, we can go ahead and activate this to make myself a little bit faster. Doesn't really seem like I'm going that much faster, but I actually am. Let's go ahead and just keep running until our little timer runs out. It stays on for like 8 seconds or something, and there you can see it just ran out. But yeah, there's another Armadoggo over here. Hello. So yeah, that's all the different attachments on the Armadoggo. There's a lot of really useful ones here. I definitely think that pretty much every single one of them is useful in its own way, and I don't really think there's many duds when it comes to these things. So one more thing, you can actually tell if somebody's Armadoggo is in companion mode depending on their animation. So you can see right there, it's kind of happy to see me and everything, and if we go ahead and take it out, it just turns into like a normal creature essentially. And at this point, if it was to die, it will actually die. It won't, you know, it won't bury into the ground or whatever. It's actually gonna full on die. So Yeah, I have to say, I really like this feature. I think that it's really great. I would have loved to have this years ago with like creatures like Winston and stuff, be able to bring them out and about and not worry about them dying and then really upsetting myself and my community and everything. So yeah, I really like this. It's a way to get more attached to a creature, and it's not like something like this is going to be OP, that you're going to be able to destroy everything with it. It's a small little guy, and you're just going to be able to have him follow you around all the time. But unfortunately for this next part, I will show you what happens when they do die. So here we go. Kill. And you'll see in a second, it's going to go into the ground. And it's going to disappear for, let's see. Yeah, what is that? Like an hour, I think? 3,600 minutes, so, or 3,600 seconds, not minutes. Wow. And obviously you can see right there, it does drop all of its things unless you've got the rucksack one on. So yeah, in about an hour, it should come back. And yeah, that's the Armadoggo, guys. That is how you use them, and that is how you tame them. So hopefully you enjoy this one, and if you did, drop a like, and we've got our Extinction series coming up very, very soon in just a few hours. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, and I'll catch you in the next one.